I'm rolling into Knightdale, a quiet suburb just outside of Raleigh. It's a place that hides its stories beneath the everyday. But today, I'm not just passing through. I'm linking up with the dope Black therapist, a man who's made it his mission to break down walls and get real about mental health. We're here to talk, we're here to listen, and to expose the truths that often go unnoticed. Because in these streets, in these stories, there's power, raw, unfiltered, and waiting to be heard. Welcome to this episode of Together is Better, where we believe that together we're stronger. They say that travel heals and awakens the spirit. On my quest, I find and share stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things in interesting places. My name is Gibbs, and I travel for culture.
My name is Blaise Harris. My Instagram is _dope Black therapist.
How do you spell?
Blaise. Yeah. Well, I mean, people mispronounce it because I was a firefighter. They say Blaze, and I don't even correct people no more. So I've always wanted to help people, and that's one of the things. And I've always wanted to be a firefighter or a police officer, but firefighters didn't look like me where I was coming from. So I put in my application, worked really hard, ran, and doing all the stuff that I could. And about 6 weeks later, got a phone call. I was like, yo, I actually missed the initial phone call because I was working during the summer at the YMCA. Let me call back and say, hey, this is Blaise. I missed the phone call. I said, well, you missed the opportunity. This is the fire department. It's like, no! They offered me the job, and I started. That fall, the fall of 2006. So my station was on Sanford Road in Southeast Raleigh. And at the time, we had 4 brothers at the station. That's uncalled of, that's unheard of, you know. And we went to the grocery store. The captain's black, the driver's black, the 2 firefighters in the back are black. And you see people just sit there and just like, I love the camaraderie for one. I love being around other brothers who are actually trying to help and do some stuff in the world, right? I've seen my fair share of death. I've seen my fair share of trauma and turmoil, and I've seen car wrecks, I've seen, you know, houses burned down, pets we supposed to push on like nothing's ever happened. And I think that's one of the things that really kind of going through my own stuff with my divorce and dealing with depression then. So when it came to therapy, I was just like, all right, I went through this. Nobody had any clue. How many other firefighters are going through the same thing? You know, and nobody ever has a clue. And so I'm going to go to school. I'm gonna be a counselor anyway. So let me work with first responders to start off with. And I got to therapy. I started getting phone calls. Hey, when's your availability? What I got to do? What I need to do? I trust you. I know I know you can handle what I got to talk about. I know you're not gonna run away. I know you're not gonna cry. I know you're not gonna judge me. I need the space to be able to come and talk to somebody. So
that's how it happened.
Yeah.
The dope Black therapist. Why the dope Black therapist?
All right, so the dope Black therapist. It's funny how it came about. So I saw so many T-shirts that said dope Black therapist on the front, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna be a dope Black therapist. I got this. And so, but then when I was thinking about my social media page and what it would look like and how I want to stand out, I was like, you know what? Everybody's like, all Black therapists are dope Black therapists. I'm gonna put the dope Black therapist. So when people want to find, it's like, you know, you should talk to the dope Black therapist. I've been put on this planet to help people. Every job that I've had has always been in service. Going into education, I am helping mold some of the future minds of the world. You know, going into first responders, I'm literally saving people, you know, and I'm helping people at their worst possible moment. You know, and even with therapy, what I'm doing now is just like, I'm helping them work through the the stuff that they've been through and helping them process those things so they can actually be in a spot where they feel like they can actually function. Or I want them to understand that they're not alone in dealing with the stuff that they're dealing with. I want to help them to break that stigma that I can't talk about this to anybody because people don't understand me, when there are people who actually do.
You mentioned your divorce. You went through a divorce while you were a firefighter.
So, brother, I can't front. I was super depressed. When you have this big house with a wife and 2 kids before, and then you go home and no one's there. That was crushing. You know, I had a suicide attempt because I was in so much pain. I felt that was the only way that I could end it. And I remember the first time I went to group therapy and we were doing an activity talking about a mask. And it's like, okay, what's your mask look like? My mask was all smiling and stuff, and it's like, hey, I'm smiling and everything. I said, now draw what it looks like behind your mask. And I drew blood and just angry and sad and all these different types of things, and it just broke me down. But instead of people laughing, people supported me, you know? And it was one of those things where it's just like, that's when I recognized it's okay for me to talk about my stuff, you know, and deal with my stuff. So depression has many faces. Depression can look like anger. Depression can be you smiling in everybody's face when you're really crying on the inside. Depression doesn't care what you look like. And it can show up at the worst possible moment. And that's a lot of times people don't know how really to express what's going on with them. I didn't know that I was depressed. I thought that the depression was me just being sad. Yeah, I was sad, but I was also angry. You know, I felt hopeless. You know, there is just utter dark. If you're ever experiencing, like, you know, depressive symptoms, like, you know, any of these things that I talk about, my first thing would be to just actually talk to somebody that you feel comfortable talking to. You know, I'm not going to say, go to therapy right now, because a lot of people aren't going to be ready to. A lot of people can't afford to do it. But you know who they feel comfortable talking to? Their homeboy, their partner, you know, their mom, their barber, their pastor. Talk to one of them. Allow yourself to open up and just like, hey, I'm going through a tough time. I think the biggest part is like, I think people run away from their feelings because they were never taught how to actually deal with them and how to sit with them. So many of us are afraid to feel these things because we think it's going to consume us, and it's not. It doesn't have to. I want you to be able to feel what you feel so you can actually process it and move forward. You're not erasing anybody. You're not erasing anything. So I want you to feel that, because once you allow yourself to feel that, we start to heal. It's time to heal, and I got you. It's time to heal because we've been holding on to stuff for too long. We've been holding on to stuff that's causing so much damage for so long. We've been holding on to this trauma. Trauma is a wound. It's time to heal, because if we heal, it's going to leave a scar, but it's also going to let us know that we were there and that we're still here now. My name is Blaise Harris. I am an author, an educator, a firefighter, a speaker, and the dope black therapist. Dope is one. Together is better. I interviewed a homegirl she interviewed me for her podcast. We went to school together. She kept calling me Blaise. She said, I read your book. No, you didn't. Because of the first chapter tells you how to say my name.
Right.
Blaise, the whole time. I ain't corrected to the end.